Welcome back to Laughs After Loss. We have an amazing guest for you guys today. You might know him from his podcast, Pod Save America or Pod Save the World. Yeah,
Sure.
it
Yeah.
is. Sure. Yeah, it is Tommy Vietor. Welcome to the podcast, Tommy.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan. I'm a recent fan. I watched the interview you did with Governor Shapiro, and I found it very moving and funny. And I love that you guys were messing with him as if he was like your uncle and just giving him grief. And it was just great. And so I love that you guys are doing this because it's very hard for me as a not that emotionally, you know, I'm not that good at touching my emotions. I'm a guy from Boston who kind of buries them deep inside. But I think this is a good thing. It's
We're
good
gonna
to have
bring
these
him out.
conversations. Yeah, I know. I brought my
But
tissues.
you were a philosophy major.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
it's,
I know these
Robin
things.
did her research.
Yes,
Robin,
I
look
know
at
these
that.
things because I am so impressed by you. That's why
Oh,
I'm
God.
wearing this cute little sweater with all the stars just for Tommy. Yes. You know, I just heard somewhere on one of my, radio shows like NPR, I was listening that, all these computer guys, computer companies are looking for people with philosophy majors.
Mm.
Because, yes, it's the new thing that,
All
So if
right.
you ever need a job,
yeah, there's plenty of jobs out there
Well, when the
if you're
AI
a
guys
philosophy major.
AI my job out, right, and we're all just listening to like chatbots do podcasts, maybe I can go work for them.
That's right.
that's right.
That's right.
Well, we as a recent fan, uh, you kind of heard we like to start with every episode with a pearl and an onion. We were in
Great.
grief groups for many years. I don't know if you ever experienced one of those where you're forced to do these icebreakers. And our icebreaker, we had to go around and say our name, who died, and a pearl and an onion, a good thing and a bad thing.
And it can be a little good thing and a little bad thing. It doesn't have to be major.
Or it could be major.
Or it
So
could be.
we like to kick it off to our guest to give us your grief group intro.
Okay, I love it. I have two pearls. I'll make them really quick. The
I love
first
it.
pearl is the World Cup. I've watched
Yes.
1,000 soccer games. It's so fun. It makes me so happy. It brings me great joy. I love it. Are you guys fans?
Yeah, and like the fact that, people from other countries are dancing in the street and,
Like
I
what
don't
happened in Boston.
Yeah.
I don't
With
know,
all the Scottish guys.
maybe it shows, we don't have to be so xenophobic in this country.
Amen to that. Also, my other little pearl is I have a 2-year-old son. He unironically this morning said "yummy, yummy" in my tummy when I fed him something, and I just thought that was the cutest thing I've ever seen. And he did a little dance, so that's a pearl.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's something that can bring you joy.
Honestly, it killed me. I laughed so hard. I was like, "You're the best."
And now he's going to know, oh, dad laughed, I'm doing it again.
Every day, let's do it. So, Robin, I'm sure you have experienced this. Do you remember croup?
Yeah.
Croup is a thing when your kid wakes up in the middle of the night
Yeah.
and it sounds like their throat is closing and that they can't breathe and they cough in a way that sounds like they're honking or maybe they're a barking seal. And it is quite literally the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life. I woke up the other night. My son was screaming for me at like midnight. I went into his room and then I heard my daughter crying and I went over to her room. And then she just started doing this honking noise. And I ripped her out of bed and I ran into my room and I woke up my wife and we're like, do we call 911? Do we do this? Whatever. And then back to our AI conversation, I asked my buddy Claude what was going on. Claude was like, dude, turn on the humidifier or go outside. And like things were okay in like 20 minutes, but it was terrifying. And basically they have a cold. They have a little virus that messes with their throat and their little bodies like kind of constrict, but it was terrifying.
Yeah, I bet I had it a lot.
Well, Emma, you never slept. So Emma
so
was
there you
up
go.
all night long.
No.
And her poor dad had to walk her around the house and the neighborhood. And then at 5 a.m, I would take over.
Oh, God.
So really a
know.
fun journey with me.
Really fun journey with her. But look at how she's turned out.
She seems great.
Now I sleep through the night.
Yeah. Now she sleeps through the night. I'm still waking up at 5.
Me too. God,
Moved
I'm
out
at 4.
and sleep through the night.
Yeah, it's big times over here.
Big time. I love it.
You have experienced a lot of loss, Tommy, and I hate to dive right into it, but that's kind of what we do here, Laughs After Loss. Do you want to just we know about your loss, but do you want to tell everybody kind of your
Yeah.
experience with it?
Yeah. Where should we start? Do we want to punch me in the face or the gut? You know, what's the first? I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, I think we
Uh,
could do both.
okay, we're gonna do both. So yeah, no, I've like look, I feel very blessed in my life. I'm a very lucky person. I've had two kind of very sort of searing deaths in the family that have, you know, greatly impacted my life. And when I found you guys and I heard you guys talking, like really drew me to the show and to your experience, and frankly made me want to talk to you because I lost my dad in October of 2010,
What
uh,
day?
October 1st.
Okay, we were October 28th, 2020
Yeah.
2010.
So
So the
we
exact
So
same month.
same month.
so we were like we were in hell in October 2010.
Yeah.
Yes.
um my hell was I think a little different. Like my dad, so just to back things up, my dad like several years earlier had some sort of blood cancer. And I remember he told
Mm.
my sister and I, and we lost our minds. And then ultimately he like took a pill every day and it just managed it and he was fine. Right. So then fast forward to like January of 2010, he and my stepmom tell my sister and I that now he has bladder cancer. And I think they did what parents do when they tell their kids bad news, which is try to put it in the best possible light. You know, we're going to fight this. We're going to do all these experimental things. I feel so hopeful about this. And as a kid, you want to believe that. And also you believe it. And I think I also like naively didn't really realize that bladder cancer can be really is quite deadly. You know, you think like brain cancer, like those things sound scarier, right, than bladder cancer.
Yeah.
Um, so, you know, I had been coming off of the Obama presidential campaign in 2007 and 8. Then I dove into the transition team. I went to work in the White House. So I was like barely talking to my family at that point, let alone seeing them because, you know, I frankly I wasn't very good about calling home. I was insanely busy. I was sort of like caught up in my own, you know,
Yeah, you were
stuff.
in the mix of your
That
career.
yeah, that job is more than a job. That's a 24/7
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, you're just sort of like you're in it, and I was, you know, when I think back, I was probably way too self-absorbed and just like focused on the thing in front of me and not like connecting enough with the people I loved. And then one day I got a call from my stepmom in September. I kind of remember like walking down the street and she broke down and she was just like, I need to tell you it's really, really bad and I
Mm.
need you to come up here. And so like honestly, I was trying to last night I was like thinking back and kind of like trying to write down some notes because this period of time is really a blur. Like I don't remember how I got to New York. I don't remember if I left the next day. I think I got on a train or maybe like the Bolt bus or whatever, you know. And I went up there and I remember I visited him in the hospital and like he was just like a shell of the person I knew, you know, and could barely stand up. And so basically I just stayed in New York for the next month and, you know, sat and watched this person, you know, that you love so much just like slowly deteriorate and die. And you lived for those lucid moments between
Right.
the pain being so agonizing and the painkillers kicking in when they could talk to you. Um, but boy, those went away fast, you know, and I think that was a big lesson to me for people who have a loved one experiencing something like this, which is don't wait till the end because you might have more moments, but they're not necessarily good moments.
Yeah.
That is really important. Um,
And I think, like your
Tissue
story and
one.
tissue one.
did you
Put a count up. Your story is so different from ours, and even so
Yeah.
different from a lot of people that we have talked to on the podcast already, and hearing their stories. Like it sounds like it was fast but slow at the same time. Is that a
Yes.
good way
Yes.
to describe it?
Yeah, it was yeah, it'd be sort of like a 9-month process, which is obviously a long period of time, but it was shockingly fast. And then the end
Yeah.
was um uh so brutal. And I think I also just wasn't aware of how cruel and painful cancer was and how much it can just hurt you from the inside out, you know, and um it's just so hard to watch someone you love like going through that and you know, you're kind of like I don't know, but you guys like I'm the kind of person where if I'm at a restaurant and they get my order wrong and they send me the wrong entree, I'm like, I'm good. I'll just eat it. I don't like bugging people,
Yeah.
you know? And so that instinct is actually really bad when you're in a hospital setting because there's a lot of care workers, there's a lot of doctors and nurses and wonderful people who are doing their best, but they're overworked and they don't
Yeah.
know the situation in that hotel room where you're all living now, or that hotel room, that hospital room where you're
Feels
all
like a
living now.
hotel room.
It does. It does. Um, and so you have to fight for the person, right? You have to get them more medicine or pain meds or whatever it is. And that was a really awful kind of eye-opening, like searing experience. And so the whole thing was absolute just hell on earth, frankly.
I deal with that where I start out really nice. You get more bees with honey. I'm
Mhm.
really, really sweet. But then when you get pushed, I experience similar things with my mother. You get pushed, the squeaky wheel gets the grease,
Yes.
and it's just the way of life. It
Yeah.
it just is. Wish that everybody could be treated wonderfully, but that's not it. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So the one who makes the biggest noise, then I always worry if you're too big a pain in the butt. Like, at a restaurant, I'll just
You're gonna
take
get
it.
spit in your
Yeah,
drink.
you're gonna get spit in your drink. So I always would take just the food. I'm not gonna say anything. Emma tells me I have to be sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to be a
No.
bitch.
Yeah,
You
that's
both
true.
seem very sweet. Yeah, yeah, they're not gonna spit in your chemo. That's a harder deal to do. Uh,
But it's interesting you talk about like getting to New York being such a blur. And I think we talk a lot about like that idea of like feeling like you're in a movie. And I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's a man thing, but my brother talks a lot about everything, blacking everything out
mm.
and just like not knowing how he got from point A to point B, where
I can tell you
the
the
two of us could tell
details.
you every detail.
Really?
Yes.
God.
I remember vividly, Mark dropped dead in the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
And, I can remember vividly everything that Emma and I did to try to save him.
Yeah.
Right?
Jesus.
And
Yeah,
Emma was only
absolutely.
14. Like, it was over 15 years ago, the same, month. Emma was only 14. And I remember everything.
Now, do you remember like you unfortunately have that vivid memory of your dad deteriorating, but do you have any memory of like trying to keep hope alive in that hospital room?
Um, I think by the time I got to that hospital room, the hope was kind of gone.
Yeah.
They tried like traditional chemo, they tried some like clinical trial type stuff. And by the time I got there, it was essentially palliative care. And, God bless my stepmom, like she had just been there every step of the way. She was sort of like holding things together. I was unaware. And I have a lot of like guilt and regret about that, because you should have been there more. Like you missed all those moments to have those hard conversations about how much you love someone or what they meant to you, that you wish thinking back you could have had. Um, but
And
there was
so
not a lot
many
of hope.
people feel that.
And Tommy, I think it's
Yeah.
so wonderful that you're talking about this because that's one thing that I like to stress. Be nice to people while you have them. This my mother
Yeah.
would always tell me,
Yeah.
be nice to people while you have them. And that kind of lived in my mind to try to do that because you end up in this situation that, that you found yourself in that you hadn't been able to spend those good times. I wanted to say something positive though. Your dad at least got to see your career starting, and he must have been I'm gonna start crying. He must have been
We got our tissues right
yes.
back here.
He must have been so proud, when you graduated and you went to work for that little guy, he's not a little guy, that
Yeah.
great guy, I mean, and he
Uh,
got to see him be president and know that you were there. I mean, that's the pearl in that, right, Emma? I
Yeah, for
mean,
sure.
really, I would be so proud if Emma did anything like that.
Oh my god.
that's incredible. You're very sweet to say that.
It's true. I know it. I know because as a
She's like, "Can
mother,
I trade you for one of mine?"
yeah.
I mean, as a mother to have a kid, because I read a little bit, how you
Yep.
majored in philosophy and what you did and how you went to work for this state senator, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he a state
Yeah.
senator
Yeah.
when you went to work for him? And that the first time when he walked in the room and you saw him, I loved all of that. So I know your parents have just got to. I mean, but I'm a political junkie. I was raised that way. So for me, it's like, oh my God, at least your dad got to experience that and knew you were on your way.
Yeah, you're really kind to say that. I mean, look, I was lucky enough to like get to incorporate him in that part of my life. So I started for Obama, working for Obama in 2004 on the Senate campaign, and kind of like fell ass backwards to the greatest job I will ever have in my life. It was just pure luck. But then I worked really, really hard, and I ended up going out to Iowa to work on the caucus campaign, which is used to be the first contest in the nominating process, and the year we won it was by far and away the most important. And my boss at the time, this guy Paul Tu, who's our state director, did this amazing thing around the Iowa Jefferson Jackson dinner, which is their big annual dinner where all the candidates come and they give speeches, and it's seen in this incredible moment. They had a bunch of us have our parents come out. They did like a parents' weekend. I think because they knew like we were going to be missing Christmases and missing Thanksgivings and
Yeah.
missing birthdays. And so my dad and my stepmom came out, and they got to like walk, like we did this amazing thing where Obama like essentially led a parade into this building. He got to stay, it all went way too late, but he got to see this amazing speech Obama gave. And then the next morning, we basically had like a reception for the parents and the Obamas. And I think they got to shake hands and meet. And then he came and visited me at the White House. So like I feel so grateful that I got to incorporate him into those parts of my life. It's also hard not to think about the people he didn't meet, my kids, my
I
wife,
know.
you know.
That's what I was just gonna ask about, like
We
how
have that experience too.
yeah, how special it is, that he got to experience that with you, but then, now both of us are at 15 years, almost 16 that our dads have been gone, and, all the things that they've missed. Like how often do you think about that, and do you think about your dad in these big moments?
I think about him a lot. I mean, I think, we can, he's just such an important kind, like grounding force in my life.
What was
Um,
your dad's name?
Tom, Tom Vitor.
Tom?
We're not very
Oh, so you
creative in
have his
my
name.
family. I'm literally the fourth.
Oh my
Thomas
gosh.
Frederick Vitor the fourth. Can we like switch it up, people? Um,
Did you switch it up?
we did. We named my son's name is James. Um, but we wanted something funny. His first name is Thomas because it was like, I want to name him after my dad, not me. You get how this happens, right? Because you want to like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, keep the family name. So listen, my parents got divorced when oh, Jesus Christ, it was in the 90s. Okay, I'm old.
You're
So,
young and handsome.
thank you. So my parents split up. My dad lived in New York. My mom was in Boston. Then I went off to college. So like I want saying it was a frayed relationship is wrong, but it was distant. Like we weren't. I didn't have the benefit of staying in the house through the duration of like my life through 18. And then I also think there is this moment when you get older, especially when you have kids, where you have this newfound unbelievable appreciation for your parents and everything they did for you. Because oh my God, we we were such pains. we I don't even know what I was like, Emma, but I was a huge pain in the ass. And so like, you know, you just like that they're you have a child and your life suddenly becomes about that kid. And I know what my dad did for us, and I know what my mom did for us. And I wish I'd just gotten to the point with him where I had the self-awareness and I could have just said that thank you. He probably knew, but it's a regret.
Yeah. And talking about your kids, I guess we went for the punch in the face first. Now we're gonna go for the punch in the gut.
Yeah, let's do it. Um, so the other sort of like really truly searing loss in my life was we had a stillborn daughter at 24 weeks. And so where should I start with this story? The backstory on it is my wife and I have been trying to get pregnant for a while, and we'd experienced a lot of miscarriage and pregnancy loss. And I think the first time it happened, um, my reaction was to be very sad, um, but ultimately feel like, okay, this is sort of we're gonna we'll try again. You know what I mean? And I did not realize how differently it was gonna hit us because
Yeah.
for her there was a physical piece, there's a hormonal piece, there was a feeling, like her body had failed, like she had failed at her purpose. You know what I mean? So it was just
Right, almost like
soul
a
crushing.
grief of failure.
Well, I had the
Yes,
same experience.
you
Mark and I
did.
didn't have kids. We were married 7 years we tried till
Oh
we
God.
got Sam. So I understand that feeling.
God, I'm so sorry. I mean, it's soul crushing. It's soul crushing, and it's a thing no one talks about. And part of why I wanted to do the show is because I think more men should talk about pregnancy loss and how devastating it is. And it's something you just very much experience alone. And I think this happened right as we went into the pandemic. Like basically in
Mm.
2019,
So
December
you
of
were
20,
really alone.
like really alone. In December, December of 2019, we did a Christmas with Hannah's family, my wife's family. We told them all. We celebrated what was happening, and then we got back in January and we had that miscarriage. Right. So that was the first. And then there was another and another. And we went to like, we got help from doctors, and tried like IVF and all these other things, and like nothing was working. And then um, finally we get pregnant, and you're just white knuckling it like every day. You know what I mean? And we got to 24 weeks, which is sort of this Mendoza line where the baby can be viable out of the womb. So you didn't think you're out of the woods, but you think you're past a very, very important milestone. And then, what happened was, Hannah, like my wife she's had a sixth sense. She knew something was wrong. She was driving. She pulled over. There was like literally like an ultrasound place like in the mall. So she like went there and they like tested her and they couldn't find a heartbeat. And then she like called me and like raced to the hospital. So I called John and like friend John Favreau was like, "Can you come grab my dog?" And so I raced to the hospital and like, we're in the ER and then they finally see us and they do a real ultrasound. And like for a minute, this poor nurse technician like thought she heard a heartbeat and I think said that. And we had this like moment of hope. And then, it's like dashed all over again. Um, and then just sort of like adding to just the unbelievable like levels of cruelty is um the woman has to then deliver this child, you
Right.
know? So they give you all these pills to induce the birth and like you're just waiting and we're at this hospital and like talk about like the we're in a movie like that
Right.
that,
Yeah.
that was like the very much like Hannah was like, is this real, is this really happening, um because we both obviously didn't want it to be. And so, you go through this horrible process, you deliver a baby. We got to hold her and like take photos and spend time with her for a few hours. But then this what is supposed to be like one of the greatest moments of your life ends with you walking out of this room, um and leaving your child there,
And that's
it,
exactly what I was gonna say, what's supposed to be the one of the greatest moments of your life,
yeah.
right? Because you talk about, going to the hospital and delivering the baby and holding your baby and,
Dressing it up for the pictures.
and
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
pictures and, it for most people, all of those things are the height, the best. I mean, I don't know, I don't have a kid, but that's what that's what you see,
Mhm.
that's what you hear. And meanwhile, you have the complete, utter opposite experience.
Yeah.
And
And
nobody knows, and you walk out onto the street and the world's still going. Everyone's still doing what they're doing. You go to the grocery store to get something. "Hi, how are you?"
I'm
I mean,
awful.
I'm awful. I mean, I would just write out, say, "Well, my husband dropped dead 2 days ago," and, because that's my personality. I was so upset. The world kept going, and no one knows what and it happened during the pandemic for you. No one knows.
yeah. Yeah, no one knows. And so this time we sort of had to talk about it. Like, it's funny. We got home, I woke up the next day. I just had these like thoughts I had to get out. And actually like I'm not like a big personal Instagram user, but I posted something because I was just having this overwhelming feeling that I wanted to tell people about her or like memorialize her existence.
Yeah,
We didn't we hadn't we named her Margot. We hadn't said that publicly yet. But
I
just
love
like
that
talk.
name.
Thank you. As Hannah's
Thank you.
family name. And just like we wanted her to exist and for people to know that we love her. We will always love her. She's a part of our family. She's just not with us.
Right.
Um, and also just there was this weird feeling I had over the course of those days where there was this weird moment that the sense that I felt so unbelievably alive. It was like the world was like vibrating around me because I was just so aware of life and the gift of life and
Mm.
just the extremity of these emotions and feelings I was having. Um, and I guess so much of
That's something I've never heard before or, like, described that way, and I know what you're talking about, but,
yeah,
like, usually we describe it as numb,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I don't know why. It was like I just think maybe sometimes you go through life and you kind of bump along and you do what you do and you go to bed, then you wake up the next day, and it was just like this searing reminder of kind of what we have. And I don't know. I had a huge level of gratitude for all these people, like the nurses that we met, random people that were nice to me in the parking lot. Like I couldn't find my car. This guy helped me out. I nearly gave him a hug. I was just like, "Thank you," like weeping into this man's face. So I don't know. It was a weird um mix of emotions.
Well, yeah, because those little things, someone does something nice for you when you're going through this, and it is so emotional. It just
Yeah.
makes everything for me just come to the
Yes.
surface.
And
100%.
I think a lot of people ask, like, "What can I do for somebody in those moments?" But, like, I mean, you mentioning John Favreau going to get your dog, like, that's huge. Like,
Yeah.
the so my grandma died 4 months after my dad, and
Oh
she
god, I'm
lived with
so
us.
My
sorry.
mother who would have adored
Loved
you.
you.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my
But,
god.
like, that morning, she dies, and one of my mom's friends happened to call and said, "Well, do you need anything?" And we said, well, yeah, Emma's making pancakes
The
or Emma's
waffles
making waffles.
in honor of my mom
Can
because my
Oh,
mom made these great waffles.
can you bring over baking powder?" And, like a little thing that we still means so much.
Yeah, and I wanna give
yeah.
a shout out to Larry Glick, who is my friend, who when Mark
Who brought
died, he was crazy because he would call me, "Robin, is there anything I can do?" I said, "Yes,
all the time she would say yes.
yes, the leaves in the gutter need cleaning out, Larry." He came right
Oh,
over and cleaned them out. I have the guts when someone says, "What do you need?" I can tell them, "Be careful out there."
that's
But
great.
also to be that friend to call up and say, "Well, what do you need?" And I'll be there and I'll do it.
People wanna help, you know what I mean? I think, like,
Yes.
if they say, "Can I do anything?" And usually people are like, "No, no, no." That's usually how I'm at. If you say, like, "Yes,
Say
I need
yes.
this," they feel great. It gives them a purpose. It gives them something to do. I mean, 2, like, mourning stories or, like, friend stories like that, like, so when my dad died, I was actually back in DC because, like, long story short, um, my dad had been moved from the hospital to this, like, palliative care place, that was closer to where his home was, and I could not bring myself to just be next to him when I knew he was already gone. Like it broke
Yeah.
me. I was broken at this point. So I just like went back to DC. I didn't know what I was going to do. Maybe I was going to like get some more clothes and go back, but then he passed away. And the next morning, um, John Favreau, who again, my co-host here, and my buddy Shomik Dutta, um, I told them, and they just showed up at my house with a bottle of like Johnny Walker Black Label, a bunch of DVDs that they thought would make me laugh. And do you guys know what a shake weight is?
Yes.
Well, Emma would, of course I wouldn't.
Unfortunately.
There was this one season of like NFL Hard Knocks where like the punter bought 100 shake weights for everybody, and you do a funny motion with them. I won't do it here because this is a polite
You can picture
company.
it. It's a weight that you shake.
Okay.
You can picture the motion.
Yeah.
They thought it would make me laugh. You know what I mean? And so it did. We sat there, we drank, we talked, and it meant a lot to me. And then when like when we lost Margot, like the mourning itself was very different, right? Like when I mourned my father, I miss being able to call him and get his advice and visit him and his sense of humor and his weird quirks and obsession with cars and just like this human. When we were mourning Margot, we were mourning what could have been. You know what I mean? You are
Yeah.
mourning the death of a life that you've built for yourself inside your own head. And it's a very different thing that was no less painful or real for us, you know?
Do you think the one grief prepared you at all for the other?
No. Um I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
It was so different.
Yeah, it was so spaced apart and it was so I mean the second it's the losing Margot was more like what you guys went through, which is just so sudden.
Yeah.
like
Right.
catastrophic,
And it was your child. And you just losing a child is the absolute worst. It's
Yeah.
just the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, but again, back to friends. I mean, I do think I remember. So we get back from the hospital. Um, John drops our dog off. Hannah and I like weep and cry, and then we go to bed. And we woke up, and I think Hannah's feeling was like, um, I don't want to see anyone. You know what I mean? I just want to be in bed under the covers with the light off for the rest of my life. And I sort of relate as much to our friends in LA, and they were like, you know what? No, we have a different idea, and they all just like descended on our house. And people were there, and we talked and we cried and we made food, and our friend Tessa made like a little like Margot's Shiva ceremony book. And like the waspiest human being you've ever seen in your life. When I was born, I came with a boat shoe, as John Lovett likes to say.
I know,
But
I was gonna say, I didn't wanna call it out, but
but Hannah's Jewish, and so we had a beautiful little ceremony, and people sat with us, and it was just um that sense of community, having those people there in our lives, their refusal to leave us alone and just like wanting to be with us like that, it didn't make things better, but it was a lot better than what it could
It
have been.
it does help, and that's why the Shiva is so important.
Yeah.
yeah.
And, we realize that from our experience.
Absolutely. I remember being at Shiva and all of my friends there are there and I'm thinking, "Oh my god, I'm having fun." Like, it literally felt like a birthday party. And
You had a great time. Yeah.
I had the best time, and I remember pulling my mom aside and being like, I shouldn't be having fun right now. This is my dad's Shiva." But it's like,
Yeah.
that's
And
the
what did I tell
purpose.
you?
That's the
I
point.
said, "Yeah, have
Have
fun."
fun. That is the point of this.
And they're
Is
distracting you.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
It's like as a
like, we can't be distracted for the rest of our lives, right? Like, we still feel these emotions pretty heavy today at certain points. But for that time to have those friends surrounding us is, like, the best thing you can do as a friend.
the
It
absolute
really is.
best. I mean, getting to laugh with them. We ate food, we drank too much wine, we cried. We made each other laugh. It was really beautiful. Funny story about that. One of my wonderful, kind, absolutely loving, sweetest guy I know, friends who came, turned out he had COVID.
Super spreader event.
So he gave, luckily only one other guy caught it, but how it's tough to say you gave someone COVID at a baby's funeral. That's a tough one.
Oh.
But it's really funny
Funny,
now.
though.
It's
Yeah.
the funniest
It's
thing in the
always
world
funny
now.
when we look back,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
funny
Going
now.
through it, it's not.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how old are your kids now? You have 2 now?
Yeah, my daughter's 3, my son is 2. And so obviously like our experience losing Margot is colored by where we are now. Because I like
Yeah.
very firmly believe in the butterfly effect. And it sounds crazy to say this, but I'm actually grateful for all that we went through, because if anything is different, if anything changes, I don't have my kids now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so as much as I
Yes.
I, I mourn her, like I grieve for her loss. I like rage at the unfairness that she didn't have more time in this life with us. If that doesn't happen, I don't have my kids, and I wouldn't change anything.
And
I get that.
yeah, we completely get that. Like, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now if it wasn't for the death of my father.
And the pandemic.
And
Because we
the
were
pandemic. Now, do you plan on talking about Margot with your kids? Or do you
Yeah,
guys?
absolutely. I mean, listen. So, um, we had her. So when there are these absolute wonderful hero human beings who I guess like knit little blankets and socks and hats for stillborn babies at Cedar Sinai. And so, you have these memories, like you have the little book with like footprints in it, you have the little hat, the little, a little beautiful blanket. Um, and so we, for a long time, we sort of like had that stuff in a little box like directly across from our bed. I think Hannah eventually just like took the blanket out and just like sleeps with it. We tell our daughter about this being Margot's blanket. My son's a little too young to understand. about, a couple weeks after we lost her, um, we had to pick up her ashes at the crematorium. That was,
Oh my gosh.
that was what we did on Valentine's Day that year.
How
Uh,
romantic.
Yeah, well, you'll
like,
always remember that day.
wild, wild. We are like, "What is happening?" They gave it to you in a little white heart. So yeah, we have, like, those I know, I know.
Those are
Those
things that you don't even think about, right? Like,
Yeah,
you hear about a stillborn birth and you think, like, of that day. But I think a lot of people don't think about, like, what comes after that.
yeah, yeah, and so, look, we have she is very present in our lives. Like, she sits in, her ashes, her blanket, her things are, like, in our room. There's something, we try to, like, think about, talk about her, kinda honor her. You know, it's tough. But yeah, we definitely will talk about her with our kids for sure.
I
And
think it's sweet.
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, the way that we keep our loved ones alive is by talking about them,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Did you guys find that the, like, kind of grief groups helped you? Because, like, I saw a therapist for a while after we lost Margot. I feel like I've done more disclosing my inner thoughts to you guys than I ever did him, just because I like the guy. I don't know. I don't know. I'm bad at this stuff. I'm a wasp from New England. What do you want?
Yeah.
And then and then after I lost my dad, like, I was in New York for a bit. I delivered the eulogy, but then I just, like, went back to work. And, like, weirdly, I feel like it was, like, my highest performing time as a worker. Like, I just gotten a new job. I was, like, super focused, cranking away. But then I woke up a year later and I was like, what have I been doing?
Am
Like,
I okay?
who am I? What happens? Like, I felt like a different person, like a zombie for a year.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, and that job of yours was so intense that you could get lost in that kind of
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
It's
and
not a
Yep.
normal job.
and I think with so much distraction, so for us, we were in grief group right after my dad died. It was every other week, and we were in it for 2 to 3
You
years.
were in it through high
I
school,
was in it
weren't
through
you?
high school. Every other Wednesday at 6:30 or whatever, we were there and we were talking about Mark, And I think a lot of people feel so alone in their grief,
Yeah.
and to have so many people that were also going through it in the same timeline too.
Yeah.
You know,
So all
so
my friends are 15 years. And, we all have different experiences. Cancer, Mark was a heart attack, mostly cancer and heart.
we think things in our head a lot with grief, and we think, is this a normal thought?
Yeah.
And with grief groups, it just takes one other person to say it and everybody be like, "Oh yeah, I feel that too." You
I
know?
think that
So
And
it
that's so
it
great.
for me, because I had the kids and everyone had kids, we had issues. So not only we talk about our grief, we talk about our kids and their issues.
Yeah.
And so Emma
I
had
got
an
lots of
issue.
issues.
Emma had the issue where she didn't want to. She believed that Mark was on a business trip and she was going to sleep in my room in my bed with me till he came back.
That
Oh,
was just the way that I was gonna get myself through every day.
Right.
it's just heartbreaking.
So I thought people were saying to me she's never going to go to college because this little girl's attached to her mom's hip.
And little
And
girl, it was embarrassing. It was something I didn't tell my friends that I was 16 years old when most people are out,
party, not
partying and
us.
and meeting guys and whatever, and I am sleeping in my mom's bed.
So I put it out to my group. What
Mhm.
am I going to do? And I got all kinds of suggestions. And the one I took was get her a flat screen color TV for her bedroom. I went home. I said, Emma, we're going
Genius.
shopping. I'm going to get you a flat screen TV with a
Oh my God.
clicker.
That
So
is
I
so
got it all
genius.
set up. Comcast came out, hooked it up. She had 2 dogs. I've done everything to get this kid in her own bed.
Boom.
Boom, there she is in the bed with the 2 dogs, just clicking away, watching those shows. I didn't care.
Ugh,
It
genius.
worked. And she
Whoever gave
did
you
go
that
to
advice,
college.
Yeah, whatever
listen,
works.
I love that. That's so good. Also, like, you're 14, you're 16, you're so young. That's so, like, it's a crushing thing to go through. I don't think it's weird at all to sleep in your parents' bed. I would, I tell myself all kind of stories to try to, stave off sadness. I mean, after we lost Margot, I took like a month off of work. Um, there were those early days where, like, friends were there all the time, and then of course, like, that has to end, right? Like, they have
Yes.
lives, they have things they have to do, and that period is really hard because um, Hannah and I were both grieving, but you aren't always grieving the same amount at the same time. And sometimes when someone else's grief is at a 10, you're at a 6. and you're like, I don't want to talk about this right now. You know what I mean? I just stopped
Yeah.
crying. Like I want to move on. So we did our best to distract ourselves. Like we took 2 different trips. We call them our tragedy moons. um, you know, that helps. It's nice to be sad in
I
a
took
pretty
the kids
place.
everywhere.
Yeah, we did them too.
Yeah, I drank too much. I took way too many edibles. I browbeat the doctor into giving me a little bit of a Xanax prescription for time. Like I did all the things you're probably not supposed to do to sort of
I did
delay
none
the
of those,
onset.
Tommy.
I
But
mean,
it if it works, and
yeah.
you're good now, it works. We all grieve. We
Yeah,
all
and
grieve
I
differently.
always say whatever works. But I will give our viewers a little tip. I find that the one thing that really helps is doing things for others.
Mm,
Because when I'm helping others, it makes me feel so good and it takes my mind off my own issues.
mhm.
And I think that
When was it that you first shared about Margot?
Um, I I posted something like on Instagram, like kind of like the day after I woke up, and then I literally just like disappeared for a while. I was not really like on social media or anything, and then I went back into the office and recorded the first episode after I'd been back, and sort of at the very end, I just sort of like addressed I addressed where I had been because I think
Yeah,
the guys like I'm trying to remember. I think what happened was I wasn't on an episode. They explained why, and then kind of like paused to cry, and then like came back and like recorded a normal thing. But then I was just gone for a month.
yeah. And how was it coming back to work? Like you're a lot of us were doing things where we could kind of just hide, you know, and you do something where you're so visible during your grief.
Yeah, it was good to come back to work. Um, there were definitely times where your mind drifts off and you think of other things. But like, I'm so lucky to do what I do. You know, I get to like be a part of politics, something I care about. It's meaningful to me. It feels important, right? So like, it was a good um balm for the soul for a while, even though politics is kind of the worst right now. But also, I've like never gotten,
Grieving in a very different way,
yeah, just like
different kind of tragedy.
yeah, just talking about Donald Trump. This is really fun. But also I think I got so much feedback from talking honestly about that experience, about pregnancy loss, about miscarriage, about a stillborn. I had so many people coming out of the woodwork to say, this happened to me too, and it meant something, that it was overwhelming. Like it really means a lot to me. I loved hearing from people, though I'm sure you guys have experienced this too. There was a period of time where I felt kind of inundated by these stories. And it just sort of like cuts you over and over and over
Yeah.
again, and it's really hard. Like I'm way past that time. Like if anyone wants to reach out to me now, like I'm here, I'm wide open. But there was a period of time where I was just like, oh, I can't hear about this stuff anymore. It's like it's breaking me.
Well, it's almost because like when we get so many messages, it's like, oh my gosh, there are so many people feeling those deep and horrible feelings that we felt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that that's like the the sad part of it. But then the amazing part is that, I what I hope is that we get to help people, see that you can find joy afterwards.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think for anyone who is like listening to this and they just experienced some horrible loss and they're wondering why they aren't better yet, my only advice to you is like it's going to take time. And there's probably no way to rush it. And we all can do our best to like manage pain and deal with it day to day. But like healing takes time, and there's sort of no way to rush that, I don't think.
Yeah, you have to go through it. You can't jump over it because we know kids who experience loss, they don't get help. They don't go through it. They try to jump over it. It comes back to bite them. Kids your age, and I
Yeah.
don't know if you know who I'm thinking of, but it comes back to bite them, and then their
I
lives are tough.
don't.
Well, I'll tell you when we get
You
off
know,
here.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
you
Emma.
you know the one.
I think you know.
Well, it happens a lot. I mean, and more with boys. Boys don't want to go to grief group or counseling. Emma was lucky in her grief group there were boys.
Yeah.
And I think
Very lucky.
her group was fun. Very lucky because the
Hot ass
dads
grief
that were
group.
in my group were
Yeah.
not cool. Okay, yes, they're my guys were kind of cool, but not for me.
That's so funny. No, you're totally right though. I remember when my parents got divorced, my mom tried to take me and my sister to a therapist, and I think I sat there like this and
Yeah.
just stared this person down. It wouldn't say a word. So yeah,
That's how my Sam is.
slightly reluctant.
Yes, very
And
reluctant.
I think a lot of guys are. And I was going to ask you, what would your advice be for young men? We don't have a big young men following. We do have mostly women listening, but what would you share to young men about, grief and sharing your feelings and all that?
You know, I think what you were saying earlier, Robin, about um, look, it's easy to say, it's harder to do, but trying to be mindful about having conversations with the people you love most while they're still there is an important thing. It's easy to take mom and dad for granted. Their job is to take care of you, and we get used to that, and you take them for granted over time. Have the conversations you want to have now, if you can. Again, this is advice I've not necessarily taken to the extent I should. My mom is the greatest human being on the planet. I thank God every day for her. I don't know if she hears that enough from me.
Maybe you'll
There's-
give her a call after
yeah,
this.
I'll give her a ring after this and just cry at her. So
And
there's
tell her
that.
I said hi.
I will. I will.
This
And then
other
also-
woman is very proud of me.
We'll patch you in.
Yeah.
And then, just I think miscarriage is so common, and it's very weird given how many people have gone through the experience, how little we talk about it. I think that's bad, and I think it's wrong. I think emotionally prepare yourself for it to be challenging, and also emotionally prepare yourself for the fact that it's probably going to hit you and your partner differently, and you need to work on that and account for that, and and be there for them in a different way than you probably feel is commensurate. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like we talk a lot, like we experience the same loss. We experience that loss very differently, and I think that
Yeah.
that's a super common thing.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much for being
Well,
here.
I
Thank
have
you for
to tell
sharing.
Tommy two
Robin
things.
is going to tell
Robin,
you
let's do it.
2 things.
Just 2 things. I mean, I have a lot more than 2, but
One.
I just went 2. First, I want you to know I'm an elected official in Bucks County.
I know.
Oh, you do know?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay, so you can erase number 1 off the list.
And number 2, tell John hi.
Which one?
both of them.
Both of them. I love them.
Listen.
I listen to you guys in the shower.
Oh, thank you for that image.
I want to say to both of you, first of all, thank you for running for office, for serving in office. I know it's not always an easy job. It's not always a job where you get a lot of thank yous when you
I know, but
deserve
I
them.
love
Don't worry, she
government.
asks for thank yous a lot, and I
Yes.
give them to
And
her.
they all pretend they like me.
I think that's wonderful. And also, by the way, we were saying before we started recording that I got to hang out with Governor Shapiro in Chicago at the Obama Foundation library opening thing, and what a kind, nice man. Totally unassuming, by the way. Doesn't act like a big shot, to the point where I was talking to him, and my wife walked up to me, and she's not a political person. And she was like, "Can we please go somewhere where there's some food? I am starving." And I was like, "Hannah, this is Governor Shapiro," and he was so funny about it and so sweet.
She's probably
but-
like, yeah, where can we get some knowledge?
He was like, "Yeah, I want a nosh, dude. This sucks." I was talking to this podcast idiot, but also just mostly thank you guys for doing the show. Thanks for everything you do. It is. I'm not the kind of person who could do what you do. As I only got through one tissue today.
I was just gonna ask what the count was, but we used it a lot. It was one
Yeah,
that we
it's really
reused.
used. Look
I was
at
gonna
it.
go
Yeah.
for another, but
Yeah,
conservation,
it's
green
disgusting
energy, some shit.
We don't be. He doesn't want to be wasteful.
Yeah, but no, it's really meaningful and it matters, and you're helping a lot of people, and it's great. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on the podcast. Now, before we go, we do Robin's word of wisdom.
And this is in honor of you, Tommy, and my mom, who would adore you. So my mother always told me she's one of the first women to join the United States Army in World War II.
Wow.
Yeah, she went overseas in the whole bit, and she wrote a little book. I'll send it to you.
Great.
We know where to send it, right, Emma?
Please.
Anyway, she always told me, Robin, the most patriotic thing is to vote. You must always vote.
God bless her. What,
So
what a-
that's Robin's words of wisdom for
Yes.
the
You
day
think
after
you're a
our
good
whole episode about grieving and all of it.
It comes down to
It comes
voting.
down to voting.
Go vote. Don't grieve, vote. Or do both, actually.
Do both. Do everything.
Grieve while you vote.
Just vote.
I'm doing a lot of grieving in politics these days, let
Yeah.
me tell you.
Oh, please. I
last
lost
decade.
recorder of deeds so many times.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This has
Thank you,
been
guys.
an absolute honor, and we will see you next time on Laughs After Loss.